This is the K-Pop Cast, and I'm your DJ Peter Lowe.
And I'm your PD named Michaela.
And I'm your co-host, Stephanie.
And in this special episode, we've got a special guest, Dr. Chuyun Oh, Associate of Dance Theory at San Diego State University. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you all.
Dr. Oh is the author of K-Pop Dance, a new release, bestseller on Amazon. It's a book that's in the communications and pop dance category.
But before we dive into the interview, don't forget to join the K-Pop Cast community on Slack and sign up for a hard-hitting editorial on our newsletter. Links to those in the episode description.
And now for a very special hit replay.
Hit replays are K-pop songs that we're hitting on replay each week. And because this week we've got Dr. Oh as our special guest, we're sharing our picks for most innovative choreography. However, we choose to define innovative choreography. So, Stephanie, kick us off. What's your choreography edition hit replay?
Yes, so I wanted to highlight a song that I heard pretty recently, came out within the past few weeks, and it stars one of my favorite all-time dancers in K-pop, a 17-year veteran from the second generation golden era, back at it at the top of his game. It's Taeyang with Shung. Featuring Lisa of Blackpink, someone else at the top of her game. They're both coming out with Shung out of the Black label, like a YG subsidiary sibling label. Anyway, they came out with a performance video, a dance practice, which should tell you all you need to know. They are hitting hard with a car driving, like Lamborghini themed choreography that is heavy on, number one, the isolations, really innovative isolations that are not actually like totally synchronized with the same body part moving with each person. What I mean is when Taeyang's head moves, Lisa's hip moves. When Taeyang's foot moves, Lisa's shoulder moves. So it's this larger picture with little parts moving that's just like tickles my fancy so much. And the moves are like driving a car, shifting gears, inspired, and it just like drives my imagination crazy. So I've been watching this like every day and watching reactions, loving it.
Yeah, when you talk about that exchange between, like, you know, a head and hip, that reminds me of a lot of ballroom dance styles. Like, it's that mechanical, you know, communication and cause and effect, right? That you're seeing in this.
Yeah, great point. So next up, Peter, what's your hit replay?
Okay, when y'all said, like, hey, Peter, pick your like most innovative K-pop choreography music video, I'm like, that could be a lot of things. So at first I was thinking, like, could it be the sexual liberation of just the hip isolations of Brown Eyed Girls' Abracadabra? Not necessarily the most technically complicated song, but bold. Or was it the acrobatics of the Boys' The Stealer? Or the push-ups of BAP's One Shot? Or the intense synchronization across many boys of 17's Don't Wanna Cry? Or the chairs of Brave Girls Is Rolling? But what it came down to in the end, I
multiple answers, guys.
Yeah, multiple answers here.
Yeah,
okay.
cheating.
Yeah. Sorry, cheating. But my real answer is Taemin, of course, and his song "Move," because y'all know we did a whole episode on it way back when, right?
Course.
Remember, Stephanie? Remember that?
Yeah.
Go back. Hey, if you're a new listener, go back, listen, search for like Taemin Move or Taemin something or other. We did. We broke it down. love it because as a former ballroom dancer, just how everything is centered from the core, so much like K-pop choreography we see being like very vocabulary driven. This was very mechanically driven and like rhythmically driven based off of the music. So I think like, you know, other K-pop idols have looked to move as like the bar of like, you know, what it is to do dance well. And part of what it is to do the dance well isn't just like copying the sequence, it's copying the mechanisms, you know, the internal mechanisms, the core that Taemin embodies in the song. And like even the very simple things of him just purely walking towards you on the camera command power and grace just because of that, again, everything stemming from the core. So Taemin move. Most innovative.
Oh my gosh. If I had to pick...
At me if you disagree.
No one can fight you on that. Like if I were to pick my all-time legendary choreo, it would be Taemin move. Absolutely. Game changer. Yep. And I would say something that Taemin and Taeyang have in common is their sense of groove, their sense of how to use the space in between two beats. How they can just savor and make it juicy, right? Between 1 and 2, or like and two, right? That's something that maybe, I don't know. We'll hear from Dr. O later, but I'm gonna say that the newer generations might not have it like that in terms of the groove and how to use the space.
Right, and it's not about just like using the physical space, but also the time, right? Like
the time,
you can get there on, you know, the 1 or the 2 or whatever it is, but there's still space within that second or that, you know, that quarter to whatever that you can mostly 80% of the way right there, and then use the remaining, you know, second to fill that, like, you know, 1/4 of the space. So it means a lot more. Yep. Okay, enough from us. PDM, what's your most innovative K-pop choreography hit replay?
Yeah, so my most innovative pick for this special replay is the pre-debut song from Card. It's Oh Na Na. And it's very simple, guys. Card is a unicorn in K-pop in the sense that they are really the only active co-ed group, as far as like an active co-ed idol group in the scene. And so basically every choreography they do is innovative, but definitely when they debuted, it was so interesting being able to see how they're mixing both these very masculine and feminine movements and seeing them interacting with each other. Whereas previous co-ed groups, usually, you know, the guys would dance and do their little thing and the girls would dance and do their little thing. But there was this lack of chemistry, this like distance between them. And while they do keep some distance, like, you know, the very iconic socially distanced grinding section of the choreo.
I was going to call that out.
You still feel the chemistry. You still feel them interacting and being present with each other and not being afraid to engage in a way that makes their choreography so iconic, because there's really no other group doing it like them.
They just look like they're having fun in the video. They're friends and they're chilling with each other, partying with each other, and that's something you can't. Yeah.
What that means, I don't know. Sorry. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But like there's also something around that like tropical house beat, like the 110 beats per minute that I don't know. I think lends itself to that dance style as well.
But last but certainly not least, Dr. O, what is your most innovative choreography pick for this week?
But I have to start with, I really enjoyed hearing your elaboration on your pick. And I was almost like changing my decision, but I will keep maintaining my choice. So I was going to say that my pick would be New Jeans and their iconic choreography from Attention. The reason is that, so as I wrote in my book, I think gestural point choreography is one of the main characteristics of K-pop dance. So when I say gestural point choreography, it implies the delicate, rich, and sophisticated movement of the upper body that include the hair. And I think Attention really beautifully extend the scope in terms of the space and time of the hair movement itself into the another level. And I'm thinking like, what if New Jeans has short hair? Then I don't think the fresh, youthful, and the cheerful vibe of the choreography cannot be achieved. And I think many of the visual and also physical images directly coming from the hair choreography. And another thing that I wanted to add is that I grew up listening to the first generation of K-pop idols in the 1990s. And many of the directors who are actively working at this point have had experiences over the past few decades, including the New Jeans' performance director. So I think New Jeans' choreography brought me the old-fashioned, almost like a nostalgic image that I saw when I was growing up. And thankfully, New Jeans' choreography is relatively easy to imitate, especially the point choreography. And it again brings me the old memory because K-pop choreography wasn't that difficult up until 1990s. So for all those reasons, I choose New Jeans' Attention.
Yeah. Well, there was a reason why it was Song of the Year for us last year. I don't know if you're seeing this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I really appreciate you bringing the hair choreography into the conversation. I think it's something we joke about, but no, it's actually super important.
Yeah,
I was like another limb of the body.
Yeah.
like another, Yeah, going along with that, I think we're seeing costuming playing a big deal as a part of choreography, at least that I'm seeing from like a lot of the K-pop gigs I'm doing nowadays. So obviously everyone is doing New Jeans' Oh My God or OMG. And that song, like I noticed whenever like K-pop dance groups do a cover of that song, it's like practically the requirement that you have to dance with like a small backpack and like a fluffy or excuse me, a plushy, like oversized like stuffed animal or something like attached to your belt. Like that's the requirement because you're not doing oh my God unless you have something attached to like jump around while you spin around and do the moves.
You got me looking for attention. You got me looking for attention.
Okay, well, enough of hit replays. Let's turn it into the main interview. So, Dr. O, tell us about your background. What is your dance background?
So I started dancing when I was 7. And my first class that I remember was actually my mom teaching Korean folk dance at home. And I think I just fell in love with the fact that we don't have to speak. And I think it's kind of irony that now I'm a professor and my job is all about lecturing and all about public speech. But I was such a shy girl, very introvert. So I felt more comfortable as I can express myself without speech if I'm dancing. And then I started my formal classical ballet training at Universal Ballet Academy. That is a sister school with Kirov Academy of Ballet in Washington, D.C. So these two are some of the leading ballet schools, but the Washington one is recently closed. And in university, I changed my major to modern dance. So although I say I changed my major, but classical ballet and modern dance are deeply connected to each other when it comes to sharing the basic and foundation movement. And I was lucky to perform a couple decades and sometimes winning international dance competitions. But later, I sort of discovered that we are not just performing on stage, but we also perform on a daily basis. Like our identity could be actually a performance.
Oh, it
So,
definitely is. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
So I decided to study performance studies. It is a discipline that belongs to either communication or theater and dance. Basically, it is a academic field where we study identity as performance, such as race or gender. And excitingly enough, as soon as I started my PhD in 2010, that was the moment a lot of K-pop idols officially started performing in the United States. Girls' generation came to the United States and began to appear major television show, and Psy's Gangnam Style hit the United
Oh,
States
yeah.
and across the world.
Mhm.
So I wrote my PhD dissertation on K-pop dance, and I think that was arguably the first academic PhD dissertation exclusively written on this field. And back then, people were not quite, interested in K-pop dance, although K-pop became popular. So I remember when I first presented one of my dissertation chapter at a nationally known conference in cultural studies, we had 3 panelists and we had 2 audience members because the topic.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
I know, and my topic was girls' generation choreography and its resemblance with classical ballet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
We
know.
would have loved to be there. We would participate.
Thank you.
We would have had 5 people in the audience.
As of now, but it wasn't. So I made a presentation in front of 2 audience. One of the audience was my friend. So basically, one audience.
Oh.
So I'm glad that now K-pop is popular among the general public, not only among academics. So I'm very excited to be here today and sharing all those, my research, because I'm working in a university with the general public and also your fans.
Woo. Yeah, I'm just really curious quickly, what was the title or the thesis of your PhD dissertation?
Right. Okay. It is called K-popscape. So the terminology is a jargon. Technically, it came from media studies scholar. So what I try to theorize is that how K-pop is opening a new scape, integrating various cultural elements, and how they are utilizing media space to share their performance. And I think my major focus was how they are performing race and gender. So, like I said, one of the case studies was Girls' Generation and its resemblance with classical ballet and the ideal body type in Western society.
Yep.
That can be also applied in East Asian culture with a hint of localization. And the other case study was CL.
Ooh,
CL,
very different.
yeah, exactly. And CL, I wrote present quote unquote bad girl image compared to girls' generation who was promoting quote unquote good girl image. And there's also racial connotation. CL draws more influences and even music and dance style from hip hop that
Yep.
is rooted in African diaspora.
Yes.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed writing my dissertation, although it gave me lots of gray hair. So
Wait, but no, I'm really curious to dive further into that because that is, as Stephanie said, that is a striking contrast, especially when I'm thinking between like Girls' Generation O and like CL, the baddest female. Like, oh my
Nah,
gosh,
not
like
the Geechee
completely.
Bay.
Yeah. So like, what were some of like in those contrasts? What were some of like the core insights or like positions that you had in that contrast?
right. To start with, first, as a dance theorist, we can analyze the representation of performance that include lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
costume, makeup, and of course, movement. CL's movement is more grounded and somehow aggressive, but
Mm-hmm.
girls' generation choreography is almost all the time lighter and almost effortless. So I wouldn't say all this choreography came from exclusively from hip hop or ballet because there had been a lot of choreographers who've been trained in different styles.
Uh-huh.
But when it comes to representation, hip hop and ballet are some of the visually striking symbols.
Yeah.
And that's where we find meanings when it comes to culture. Um, can you repeat your question?
I
I think
guess
I
like what? Yeah, no, that was good. But like, I guess like what are in exploring that contrast? Like, what did you find? Like, what
all
are like
right.
the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So in addition to the choreographic representation, I actually found the localization process exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I'm writing my second book about K-pop dance teachers because
Mm.
my first book focused more on K-pop cover dance and fandom. And
Mm-hmm.
I discovered that everyone need a teacher, right?
Mm.
In case of K-pop, the teachers include their friends in a K-pop cover dance team, YouTubers who are
Yep.
uploading YouTube tutorial videos, and traditional sense of teachers who are literally teaching movement from scratch in studio. And I think the last one is sort of not missing, but we don't have much information about the teachers who is teaching K-pop idols since they were teenager. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to meet, and that's why I'm here in South Korea during the summer. I've been able to meet and interview a lot of teachers who literally met all those legendary K-pop idols more than a
Mm-hmm.
decade ago. So
Mm.
you will be able to read all those exciting stories and behind the stories when the book is out. It will be published next year.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Oh
I
my
Yeah.
also need
gosh.
to dive
Yes.
into your first book, but Dr. O, like I want to ask, like, okay, so you looked, your PhD, you were looking at second generation K-pop, and certainly you're personally grounded in first generation K-pop, but like thinking on that and looking to today, like, are there other like big changes that you've seen from like Gen 2 to Gen 4, like K-pop dance styles and what they represent?
I would say the latest generation tends to bring the vocabularies created by the previous generation. So
Mm.
you may consider it like an iPhone. What is the iPhone model that we have right now? because I'm using 7+. So
We're on like 14, I believe. Yeah.
okay.
iPhone 14.
Good
Yeah.
for you. If you look at iPhone, it keeps the core function and even the style in its brand name, but they are adding new functions and technology to meet the new demand and also trend in society. And I think K-pop dance is actually way beyond a choreography. It is a big industry that is operated almost like a performing arts company and school.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You see, I say more about that.
Would you like to add something?
Oh yeah, I want you to say more.
Yeah,
about
no.
that.
Like I agree, but like I want to hear, what Stephanie said. I would love to hear more.
Yeah. So what's the difference between the first one, the
Yeah,
prior and the
got
latter?
it.
Yeah.
Well, the first difference would be the skill set.
Wow. Oh,
All right.
wow.
No. Yeah.
The reason is that the current idols have had unprecedented level of support, education, and resources accumulated more than a decade. And those resources were not available almost at all when
Yep.
it comes to the first generation of K-pop idols. One of the people I recently interviewed, it should be anonymous, but he said, but you're gonna see the information when the book is out. He said when SM Entertainment, the biggest legendary company with EXO and Girls' Generation came out of SM Entertainment, he witnessed how SM Entertainment and the director Lee Suman or Suman Lee started his company in a underground studio.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he was basically the only employer and employee of the company. And over the past few decades, K-pop has grown, as I explained, almost like an international music, art, and performance business. Having said that, the skill set the current idols are presenting in terms of the choreography, foreign languages, awareness on history and culture, everything is almost this is simply flawless and up to the level of perfection. And I can only imagine how much competition they would
Yeah.
have went through. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just like verbally agreeing. Like,
No,
yeah,
you mean like
it's very
how
competitive.
much how much competition they went through in order to be chosen to debut.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To make it out of the basement.
Oh yeah, they all start in the dungeon. We joke about because we watch these survival shows and we read articles or watch shows about the debut and trainee process, and it's grueling. It's tough.
10-year boot camp. Yeah.
Yeah, practicing in the studio all day, all night until 4 a.m. For the mid evaluation the next morning.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't do it.
But like what Dr. Cho, what you're also saying is that there's more specialization amongst trainers, dance studios, just like the industry at large for the very specific like subtasks of what it means to become a K-pop idol, and in this case, just more explicit, more deliberate choreography and dance training, right? Is part of what's raising the overall bar for dancers nowadays.
I guess I'm looking for you to help us paint a picture of if you were to walk into the SM studio in 2009, 2010, you would find the idol and maybe the Korean choreographer or the American choreographer, but no one else on the team kind of preparing, or maybe the performance director. Like you're saying that there were these just like a few folks helping out as resources for the idols, but now there's more people, more specialized roles in the background
Yeah.
helping bring a performance to life?
Yeah, it is like so the timeline is more than a decade ago. It was literally when Big Bang first started their training. So it
Yeah.
was definitely more than a decade ago. An analogy would be, we have like let's say KFC, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
one of the KFC franchise I stopped by in San Diego, I saw the black and white photo of the founder, the iconic
Colonel
white suit.
Sanders. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And even he, and among many other successful businessmen and women, a lot of people actually start their business by themselves in a small scale. But over time, there are a couple business who are able to break into the global market. And I think that's what's happening in K-pop industry. But I would say it is not unique because you will be able to see those cases in American pop music too, because not all label started with all the resources they needed, but they worked really hard and they are able to make one singer successful, bring fund from the first successful case, and invest for the next singers and dancers, and that's how they grow their business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about how the idols from Generation 2 are now, a lot of them are employed in mentoring and training
Yeah,
the newest
exactly.
generation as well.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
Pat
Or
paying
Gen 1
that
to Gen
forward.
2, even.
Yeah, Gen 1
right?
to Gen 2, exactly.
I'd like to circle back to bring cover dancers into the story, because we're talking about, these scenarios in which we have, people who are being trained by teachers, but most fans, when they're involved in K-pop dance, they're on these cover teams, right?
Yeah. So what do we want to know about cover? I mean, we all know cover dancers. We all have friends who are cover dancers. It's so much fun. Oh my gosh! If any of you have ever been in a performance or a flash mob, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon, especially here in the hella Haifu Bay Area. There's so
Oh,
many
yeah.
K-pop dance cover groups. I might put something out very provocative.
All right.
Might get me canceled. But Dr. O, like I'm curious, what do you think is like the underlying motivation behind a lot of these cover groups? Like you're saying, like your first book focused on, the fandom aspect of dance, but like why do you think, like, what drives primarily so many dance teams to do what they do, to cover K-pop dances?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for getting back to the script. Okay, so cover dance. I would say the driving motivation of cover dance is to showcase their talent
Yes.
using the template given from K-pop.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote in my book that K-pop is a social dance of the global youth. In history, we always have had the popular social dance, such as salsa, waltz,
Yep.
tango, bachata,
Yeah.
hip
Oh, you're
hop.
speaking my language.
Yeah,
These are all my dance
Peter.
styles.
Exactly. And now K-pop is adding a new social dance. But the major departure is that K-pop is not relying on physical studio or ballroom hall or the street. It mainly relies on the social media.
Yes.
Yep, that's why I wrote that social media is a stage and K-pop is an example of social media dance. So
Yes.
going back to your question, the reason why a lot of young people are driven to cover dance is that there aren't many dances that share its template.
Mm.
And there are not many dances that is easy to learn. I'm not saying the K-pop is easy,
Right.
but you cannot learn 3 hours of Swan Lake repertoire if you're not dance major. I
Oh
mean,
man.
you can try it, but it may take at least 3 years. Okay.
Well, just the technical imperfections, stand out a lot more. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. But K-pop at least provide a platform or, like I said, a template, even if you do not have professional training background.
Yes.
That's why it is a social dance. The other thing what's unique about K-pop cover dance is that it doesn't finish in studio or in street, but they share the outcome on social media with video editing, sometimes on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. All those social media brings us unprecedented level of spreadability.
Yes.
That means if you are perform in theater, we have the number of audience and the limitation, right? Even if unless you perform in a Olympic stadium, most theater have limitation in terms of time and space. And if you cannot attend the show, you are missing it. But when it comes to social media, it is transnational. Although we know that there's an algorithm affecting the recommendations,
Right.
but technically everyone is able to have an opportunity to share their talent. And I think that's the power of K-pop cover dance because it invites everyone at least to share who they are and what they like to share with the global audience.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. And by the way, like everything you're saying, like so strongly rings true with like everything that I'm saying in like the K-pop Bay Area dance community. But maybe just like to push the envelope, just push the matter further and
Do
maybe get me in
it.
trouble.
Do
Like,
it.
you say it like they're doing it to showcase their ability and like like there's like a basic common denominator in platform, right? You're given a choreography and like almost a format, right? Like not only the choreography but even how you film it, like that everyone can copy. But like why look, I'll just say it.
What
My
do you
theory is like
think,
a lot
Peter?
of kids are doing this just because they're chasing clout, right? They want to get famous. they want to be seen and validated by internet strangers. Like how much does that? Are you seeing that in your
And
research, Dr. O?
sometimes their video might even be viewed by the artist.
Oh, right. Yeah,
They
for
might get
your social
noticed.
relationships, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my
to be
God.
seen by
Yeah.
their idols, right?
Mm, I think you're right. Another driving force would be, let's say, having more followers on their social media. That is clearly another driving force. And that's why the book subtitle is Fandoming Yourself on Social Media. Because social media itself is designed to celebrate ourselves.
Our
And we know,
narcissism.
yeah,
Oh
exactly,
man.
exactly. That's how the platform is designed.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
unless we are able to eliminate those platforms, and I don't think we can do that. It is already part of our life. Then I think the question is little deeper layer of how those motivation is operating and why, and how we could switch this big phenomenon where everyone wants to be an influencer and
Yeah.
how we could get a lesson from this big phenomenon. Yeah, so I think there's a pros and cons of using this public sphere that is social media. But one of the, and I think I'm little empathetic as a previously professional dancers because I know how it feels like you worked really hard, but no one is watching you
Yeah.
or no one cares what you do. And I just know so
Mm.
well. Yeah, I went to a ballet concert last night. It's done by Universal Ballet. That is one of the biggest ballet companies in South Korea. A friend of mine who attended the same conservatory school, she became the prima ballet dancer of the company.
Ooh.
Yep. So she played the main role. Such a beautiful, breathtaking performance. And I actually reminded how I felt because I was also a student at the top conservatory school, but I wasn't the top student in ballet class. My ankle wasn't simply flexible enough, and my athleticism wasn't there. So, and I remembered I was actually thinking social media when I was watching ballet concert, because in ballet you have one prima ballet dancer that gets the highlight and applaud of the audience, and you do have, let's say, 40 not backup dancers, we say corps de ballet, but who is admiring the prima ballet dancer at the center. And I just
Mm-hmm.
feel so although there is a drawback of social media, it's too competitive, it is too commercialized, sometimes everyone looks the same. But despite all those drawback, as a dancer, I'm glad that even 11 years old girl could get thousands of views of her performance. And I think to as a starting point, I think it has a potential because it opens more possibilities.
Yeah. That's I really appreciate what you're saying. Like there's different ways to look at this, and it's not all bad, and it's not always all good. But
Yeah, I think, I mean, just to that point, I think social media, like the fact that people can perform covers of dance or singing or whatever talent they have on social media, that was so noticed by the music industry that
yeah,
it opened up this whole genre of TV shows, American Idol and The Voice and Who's Got Talent. Pretty much all of the first contestants of that were plucked from social media, like YouTube
oh
cover
yeah,
artists. And
very
same with
extractive.
the parallel universe of those competition programs that are in Korea and now all over the world. Superstar K, K-pop star, like all of those. It's opened up a door for regular people who
Mm-hmm.
didn't come through the normal pipeline
Trainee,
to
yeah.
to become a trainee and get noticed and get into the label and stuff. So social media has like a huge impact on the industry itself and the pool of people allowed in to become stars.
I wonder what the end game is. Like for a lot of these people, like is the end game just to become infinitely famous, to capitalize, like as an influencer, to capitalize and monetize that. What I'm seeing, which is really interesting, is that it's almost coming full circle now. So there's one K-pop dance cover group here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Eclipse, and they've got like 500,000 subscribers on YouTube and lots of
Wow.
followers on other platforms. And it's gotten to the point now where SM Entertainment or whoever's doing their tours will be like, "Hey, can you please promote on your socials that we're doing this tour?" like using them, the dance team, as like an advertising channel, right? For K-pop, like official K-pop, like idol driven content and promotions. I mean, Dr. O, like where do you, like we've heard a lot from you, like here's the landscape, but where do you think things should go? Like how should how should fandom treat like K-pop dance? Like is there a healthy way to this, or is there like a best practice? Is there a future you want us all to head toward?
Yeah, I think the next step is opening new opportunities in education and
Mm-hmm.
an official job profession. That's why I offer the California State University Summer Art in Fresno.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sign up.
And you will get A. I'm joking. Okay, so from July 10th to 23rd, Last is a K-pop boy group. They will be coming to teach their K-pop song, and they just finished their tour in LA. And I think they are touring in Latin America at this point. I designed the course as a certificate curriculum because I have noticed that so many talented K-pop cover dancers do not just unable to shift their passion and talent into an official profession. The reason is that dance department in general values traditional style, let's say modern dance or postmodern and ballet.
Yep.
And although it's changing, we need more diversity in the official curriculum. So, but K-pop is a little bit like yoga. Like everyone does it, but there's no yoga department, let's say, because it's driven by a hobby. And another commonality is that K-pop is we have to be mindful that it is technically an ethnic dance. It came from South Korea. Even K is Korea. So although it's been globalized, its production, its performers, it's all globalized and de-ethnicized. When it comes to entering the mainstream society, there could be racial barriers. And that's how I often feel. And that's why I create this certificate course that is open to everyone. You don't have to be a dance major, you don't have to be a university student. So, my hope is that because I don't want all those K pop cover dancers quit their career as they are reaching 30s. And I think it's a waste of resources across the society in general because a lot of K-pop cover dancers I interviewed in Southern California, they were like influencers. They spent a few years as a K-pop dancers and later instructors as a senior. But once they graduate, they go to Microsoft engineering, which is good for them, which is good for them. But what if we create a new channel where they can continue their passion and love in addition to their job career? Because K-pop is relying on university dance team. So once they graduate, it's hard to find another platform. So I'm working hard with the support of CSU Summer Art and thankfully San Diego State University. And I'm hoping to provide more official curriculum so that we bring talented cover dancers as instructors in the future.
And so is the hope that this will open up a pipeline for K-pop cover dancers to enter the K-pop industry or to become or maybe to become dance instructors at a studio and teach K-pop classes? Are there what are the paths after they graduate from your program?
Yeah, I think both. So students will be able to have the chance actually dance with at last. And they will be creating because the certificate is titled K-pop Creator Certificate. So they do not have to be a dance major. So they will be creating their social media content, working with K-pop idols. And because I've been able to build a network with K-pop industry during my process of writing the first and second book, I'm also happy to write a letter of recommendation to K-pop agencies and schools. There's a tremendous number of schools, institutions, and academy in South Korea. And these people are also interested in recruiting talented dancers abroad. Right. But the channel between the K-pop fandom and K-pop agency is not fully connected. That's why K-pop agencies are using Instagram to bring people and to get connected. So I like to use my position as a university professor and also as a researcher working with K-pop industry so that we could get connected more smoothly And that would be a win-win situation for both K-pop industry and all the talented people in the United States.
Definitely. And it's just, for those who didn't know, it's based in Fresno, Central California, home to our very own PD Michaela.
Yeah, so
Michaela, are you going to apply?
Who are, oh, no, not me. I wish I could go back a few more years and go back 8 years, change my major to dance, and then
it's not too late, man.
But some advice I can give for people who are traveling to Fresno for the first time, it will be in July, and Fresno reaches very high degrees in July, upwards of the 99 plus. So just some advice for people who are traveling to the area for the first time for the course.
Thank you. And also Yosemite National Park is next to Fresno. What I mean by next to Fresno is I think around an hour and a half. So some of my students are planning to visit Yosemite National Park during the weekend. So, and also bringing their family too. So, you'll be immersed in K-pop and during the weekend, the nature.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. You were speaking about the trends in K-pop cover dance and industry opportunities, and I wanted to and also the ethnicization, I believe, and cultural representation. I can't help but think about hip hop dance, the hip hop dance scene and culture, street dance, and what do you see as, I guess, have you noticed in your research, how is the relationship between those two? Is there clashing between the communities, or what have you observed?
Yeah, of course. I think it is even more than clashing. Hip hop has made one of the biggest influence, especially the initial development of K-pop dance and music, as many K-pop idols have openly shared publicly. Sometimes they share their favorite hip-hop musicians and choreographers. So hip-hop is definitely one of the core movement and music style and vocabularies in hip-hop. What I have noticed, especially after BTS and Big Bang, there is, I would say, K-pop style hip hop. And I'm not saying it's not hip hop, but it has been a lot of departure from the original hip hop, although K-pop idols are recognizing and giving the credit to hip hop. And that's why they are collaborating with a lot of hip hop artists in the United States. But there is also a unique localization of K-pop, hip hop, I would say. And I think it is a natural process of evolving. And I think we can value and appreciate both of the original influences and continuing influence of hip hop, in addition to how the local artists are adding their own voice and style to hip hop.
Can you speak more on that? What types of localization is happening?
I think BTS is one of the examples who debuted as a hip hop group. But if you look at their choreography and stage performance, what they present is quite different from what hip hop artists do in the United States, right? One of the songs or one of the choreography or part of the choreography of a song resonate with hip hop, and it has hip hop vocabulary, rhythm, and style, but it has been expanding, integrating other musical and performance styles. So I think that's why K-pop industry is working with choreographers who define themselves as open choreography. And maybe it is not only K-pop, because of the globalization and social media, it is so easy to access a new cultural trend. You don't have to travel to LA to see LA dancers style. You don't have to travel to Korea to see K-pop idols performance. And because of this open access, a lot of choreographers are influenced and influence other choreographers.
Yeah.
So I think we need more conversation on this. But K-pop represent the one of the future directions of music and dance industry when it is produced on the transnational media, and how it changes our understanding of dance.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think like certainly at the professional level, there's a lot of that transnational dialogue. You know, even if it's not like choreographer speaking to choreographer, there's still like a conversation being had, and in terms of inspiring each other. But when it comes to like the fandom level, I feel like it's different. Like there's bad blood between hip hop dance teams around here versus like K-pop dance teams, just because they like philosophically approach it, I think, very differently.
And you're speaking to this, Peter, as a K-pop DJ who is at these parties experiencing people dancing to K-pop in real time. Right?
Yeah. So in acknowledging my
and
caveat,
Peter,
that it's
what's your what's your assessment, or what do you hear about the conflict or the reasons for conflict?
I'm also curious, Dr. O, for your take on this. But like Dr. O was saying earlier, like there's a common platform in terms of like a baseline choreography to capture. But I think the difference is like a willingness to go off script versus sticking strictly to, you need to do this part to this song, or if you don't know this song, then don't dance. I think that
like
that's
freestyling and improv.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Peter, we talk so much about how at the K-pop parties that you DJ, if you put a song on there that has a great beat, but people don't know the choreography from the video, they will just stand there. They will not do anything. I mean, I'm going to be on the floor doing all kinds of stuff, just making it up as I go. But yes, like we notice in the K-pop parties, the cover dancers who are so talented, they will just stand to the side, back away if they don't know the official choreography. So that's a big difference from hip hop dance community, which is all about the cypher, the freestyle. What can you come up with on the spot?
Yeah. It's kind of why I prefer sometimes doing top 40 and K-pop events, because you've got the people like the people who don't know any K-pop at all, who are kind of that filler in between.
You can count on them. You count on the hip hop
because they're
going
to keep the pulse moving in the crowd at large, which
it won't just die at
the
a certain
K-pop
song.
fans to be like, oh yeah, I can keep bobbing my head. That's totally fine.
Do something.
Dr. O, like I've seen random dance games. There's another thing that's interesting, like the chorus line game, where it's almost like a competitive version of the random dance game, where you've got like different teams going, like pairing up, getting in the line, and then whoever knows the song at the front of the line will do it. And if they don't know that song, they get kicked off, and whichever line remains is the winner. Stuff like that. I've also, we've also seen, going back now, like 6, maybe even 8 years, like line dance as like you've got your main music video, you've got the performance music video, and then you've got the line dance
the relay dance.
Relay dance. I'm sorry, that's the right word. Yes, relay dance. So like Dr. O, my question to you is like, what do you think is next? Like, what is the next, like, quote unquote stage in social media for like K-pop, be it for teachers, fandom? What do you think is next?
Because I'm an educator, like I said, I can make a prediction in likely educational setting. I think the rhythm dance play and its popularity will last quite for a long time. The reason is that, as I said, there aren't many styles that everyone can join. And what's unique about Random Dance Challenge is that although it is named random, it is actually not random. The music is played random. But even the music, in many cases, the event host would share the list of the songs ahead of time nowadays, right? Because K-pop dance is actually really difficult. So you actually have to practice a lot if you like to participate in the random dance challenge. So it became more and more professional. And I think fans quite enjoy singing them growing through this public dance challenge. So I think what K-pop brings to the fandom is that as K-pop choreography itself become more and more advanced, K-pop fans have also developed their skills and almost turning into professional dancers at this point. Yep. And I think the repetitive routine or the point choreography in the middle that is easy to remember is the core charm and even beauty of K-pop dance because it invites the people as if asking, why don't you try this with me? And I think that welcoming environment will remain quite appealing to many people.
All right. I think we can mic drop right there.
Hey.
So, Dr. O, where can prospective students learn more? Where can they follow you and learn more about this course?
Yep, you can follow me on Instagram at chuyun.oh. So it is CHUYUN.OH.
All right. So we're going to head on over to your Instagram. There's also on her Instagram like cool videos of her dancing and teaching people dance. So make sure to go see her skills as well. Thank you so much, Dr. O, for joining us on this episode. This is just the beginning of our conversation.
Thank you for having me, everyone.
All right. So shall we say where folks can find us?
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to follow us, too.
Yeah.
PDM, kick us off. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Michaela J. K-pop on Twitter.
I'm at DJ Peter Lowe.
I'm at sparker2 on Twitter and Catchlight27 on Instagram. And you can tweet all of us at the K-Popcast.
Or Instagram us, DM us, whatever it's called
the
on Instagram.
K-Popcast.
At the K-Popcast, yeah.
Yay!